Mrs. Park sat with perfect posture, her black suit crisp and unwrinkled despite the humid air in Principal Doe's office. Her lawsuit papers were arranged in a precise stack before her, each page aligned with military precision. The look in her eyes could have frozen the rings of Saturn. Across the table, Principal Doe's outer membrane flickered with anxiety patterns. Though he maintained a humanoid form for the comfort of Earth parents, stress always revealed his true nature. His tie seemed too tight around what passed for his neck. "Mrs. Park," he began, voice modulator creating perfect Korean intonation, "I assure you this lawsuit is unnecessary. We can discuss your concerns informally." Mrs. Park's red fingernail tapped the top document. "My concerns? You have systematically undermined humanity's competitive advantage in the galactic community. This goes beyond concerns. This is about survival." Jin and Tai sat on either side of their mother, both children staring at their shoes. 10-year-old Jin's hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail that matched her mother's severe style. 8-year-old Tai couldn't stop fidgeting with the hem of his school uniform. The conference room windows offered a view of New Seoul's skyline, where human skyscrapers now stood alongside alien architectural forms that defied gravity, and sometimes logic itself. 20 years after first contact, Earth was still adjusting to its place in the wider galaxy. "Teaching my children to share with alien species is practically treason," Mrs. Park continued. "Humans survived on Earth because we understood strategic resource allocation. We didn't just give things away." Principal Doe's human-like eyes blinked in confusion. "Mrs. Park, sharing is a fundamental social skill taught in all educational systems across. It's a human weakness the galactic community exploits," she interrupted. "When resources were scarce on Earth, those who shared indiscriminately didn't survive long. We shared strategically with allies, with expectations of reciprocity." The school's legal advisor, Mr. Han, cleared his throat. As the only other human in the room, he seemed torn between professional duty and an instinctive agreement with Mrs. Park's position. "Perhaps you could provide specific examples of harm," he suggested. Mrs. Park didn't hesitate. "Yesterday, my son Ta gave his limited edition hover scooter to a proximate child who merely expressed interest in it. A scooter that cost 2 months of my salary." All eyes turned to Ta, who sank lower in his chair. "Is this true, Ta?" Principal Doe asked gently. The boy nodded miserably. "Kalo said it was pretty. He'd never seen one before." "And did Kalo give you something in return?" Mrs. Park demanded. "He showed me how to see ultraviolet patterns," Ta mumbled. "It was cool." Mrs. Park threw up her hands. "A temporary biological trick in exchange for advanced human technology. This is exactly my point." Jin raised her hand hesitantly, as if she were still in class. "Mom, Kalo's family invited us to use their quantum teleporter for weekend trips. That's worth way more than a scooter." Mrs. Park frowned. "That's not the point, Jin." "It kind of is, though," the girl replied carefully. "I gave Sula my collection of Earth rocks last month, and now her mother, who works for the Galactic Transit Authority, is helping you get permission for extended deep space travel." Mrs. Park opened her mouth, then closed it. Principal Doe's membrane rippled with what might have been amusement. "It seems your children understand strategic sharing quite well, Mrs. Park." The administrator pulled up a holographic display showing classroom footage. Jin was at the center of a group of alien students, all of different species, all focused intently on what she was explaining. In another clip, Tai sat sharing his lunch with a crystalline entity, who in turn was helping him solve complex math problems. "Your children are among our most successful students at cross-species network building," Principal Doe explained. "They've intuitively grasped something many adult humans miss. Sharing, as humans practice it, is not just giving things away. It's building alliances." Mrs. Park watched the footage, her expression softening slightly. "They're just children. They don't understand the larger implications." "With respect, Mrs. Park," Mr. Han interjected, Recent xenoanthropological studies suggest human sharing behaviors may be our species' most valuable trait in galactic society. He pulled up his own datapad. Most advanced species evolved in environments where resource competition was absolute. The Proximans developed contractual exchange down to the molecular level. The Centaurians evolved physiological rationing systems. But humans share. Principle dough finished. You share knowledge, resources, even emotional support, with minimal immediate expectation of return. It's remarkably unusual. Mrs. Park looked skeptical. And this is supposed to be an advantage. It appears to be, Mr. Hand said. Humans are forming cross-species networks at 5 times the rate of any other newcomer species to the galactic community. Your children aren't being exploited. They're pioneering humanity's most effective integration strategy. Jin and Tai exchanged glances, sitting up straighter. Mrs. Park tapped her fingers against the table, thinking, if what you're saying is true, then we shouldn't just be letting children share instinctively. We should be teaching strategic alliance formation through selective resource distribution. Principal Doe's membrane flickered in confusion. Isn't that just sharing with extra steps? No, Mrs. Park said firmly. It's sharing with purpose, with awareness, with long-term objectives. She pulled the lawsuit papers back toward her. I'll need to reconsider my approach. Perhaps what we need isn't less sharing education, but more sophisticated sharing education. The children's faces brightened, and even Principal Doe seemed relieved. Does this mean I can keep showing Kilo how to play Earth games? Tai asked hopefully. Mrs. Park gave her son a measured look. Yes, but from now on, we discuss what you share and why. There's a difference between generosity and strategy, and humans need to master both. As they gathered their belongings to leave, Mr. Han leaned toward Principal Doe. I think we just witnessed the birth of the first human strategic sharing initiative. Principal Doe's membrane rippled with what might have been a smile. The other species won't know what hit them. News of Mrs. Park's lawsuit spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Information packets bounced between quantum relays, reaching the farthest edges of known space within hours. By the time the Galactic Council convened for its weekly session, every member species had heard about the human mother who sued a school for teaching her children to share. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council orbited a neutron star, its massive circular design allowing representatives from over 500 worlds to gather. The chamber hummed with confused chatter in countless languages as species tried to make sense of the human lawsuit. Ambassador Q, representing the Silicon Collective of Betelgeuse, tapped his crystalline digits against his data terminal. His geometric body refracted light in patterns that indicated deep confusion. Order, please, called the council elder, a gaseous being contained in an ancient environmental suit. The chamber quieted. The first item on today's agenda, continued the elder, is a request for clarification from 17 member worlds regarding a legal action taken on Earth. Ambassador Q will present the inquiry. Q's crystalline form glittered as he rose. Thank you, Elder. My fellow representatives, we have received troubling reports from Earth. A human guardian has initiated legal proceedings against an educational facility for teaching offspring to share resources with other species. His translation device paused, as if the algorithm itself was confused. My species cannot comprehend this action. Sharing of resources is fundamental to galactic cooperation. Murmurs erupted throughout the chamber. The Proximan delegation's tentacles writhed in confusion. The methane-breathing Ta representatives released bubbles of distress. Most perplexing was the reaction from the collective consciousness delegate from Rigel. The amorphous cloud of neural particles that represented 1 trillion shared minds pulsed with visible patterns of bewilderment. For a species that existed as one unified mind with multiple bodies, the concept of withholding anything was literally unthinkable. Is this an indication that humans are rejecting galactic integration? Asked a representative from the insectoid hives of Pollux. Perhaps their recent advancements were merely preparation for some form of resource hoarding. The chamber erupted with concerned voices. Humans had risen quickly from a quarantined single-planet species to significant galactic players in just 2 decades. Their rapid advancement had surprised many older species. Now, some wondered if this lawsuit revealed humans' true nature. Representative Song, Earth's chief diplomat, stood calmly amid the chaos. Her simple blue uniform stood out among the exotic biological and mechanical forms surrounding her. At 45, Min Song had navigated humanity through first contact and integration with steady determination. "If I may address the council," she said, her voice cutting through the noise without raising its volume. The elder gestured with a wisp of gas. "Earth may respond." Song nodded respectfully. "Fellow representatives, this single legal proceeding has been misinterpreted. It does not represent Earth's official position or humanity's values." She paused, considering her words carefully. "Perhaps you might understand if I explain that humans developed sharing as a strategic advantage in our evolution. When resources were scarce on our world, selective sharing built critical alliances that ensured mutual survival." The chamber fell into curious silence. Unlike most council species, humans did not evolve with abundant resources or unified genetic imperatives. Song continued. "We competed for limited resources while simultaneously requiring cooperation to survive. This created a complex social dynamic where sharing became a nuanced behavior. The collective consciousness pulsed with patterns indicating new understanding. Several species leaned forward in their environments. Humans do not share automatically like the collective consciousness," Song explained. "Nor do we create formal exchange contracts for every interaction like the Proximans. Instead, we developed flexible, strategic sharing networks based on trust and future reciprocity." Ambassador Q's crystalline form shifted to indicate interest. "You are suggesting humans share, selectively, based on anticipated future advantage." "Yes and no," Song replied. "We share based on relationship building, which creates advantages through alliance networks. The human in question is not opposed to sharing itself, but concerned about teaching it without explaining its strategic dimensions." The elder's environmental suit hummed as it processed this information. "This explains much about human diplomatic success. Your species forms alliances at rates that confused our sociologists." "Indeed," added the Proximan delegate, tentacles now calm. "Humans established trade agreements with 17 previously incompatible systems within your first 5 years of contact. No other species has managed such diplomatic flexibility." Song nodded. "The lawsuit you've heard about isn't rejecting sharing. It's advocating for teaching strategic alliance formation through resource distribution, something humans have always done instinctively." A low murmur spread through the chamber as representatives reconsidered humans' peculiar rise from a backwater planet to galactic influence. What had seemed like luck or manipulation now appeared to be a unique evolutionary advantage. The collective consciousness pulsed with a new pattern, and its translation device spoke. "We understand now. Humans share not because they must, but because they choose to. This creates bonds that automated sharing cannot." "Precisely," Song confirmed. "What looks like simple generosity often serves deeper strategic purposes for building long-term relationships." The elder's gas form swirled thoughtfully in its containment suit. "This council has long wondered how humans advanced so quickly in galactic diplomacy. Perhaps we have our answer. A species that evolved to both compete and cooperate has unique advantages in a diverse galaxy." Ambassador Q rose again. "I move that the council establish a study group to better understand human sharing behaviors. If this is indeed their evolutionary advantage, all species could benefit from understanding it." "Seconded," came voices from a dozen delegations. Song hid a small smile. Mrs. Park's lawsuit had accidentally revealed humanity's most valuable trait to the galactic community, and now every species wanted to understand it better. As the council moved to the next agenda item, Song sent a private message to Earth's Education Ministry. "Recommend immediate development of formal curriculum on strategic alliance formation through resource distribution. The galaxy is watching." In the back of the chamber, a small, unnoticed observer took careful notes. The observer had no official species designation but represented interests beyond the Council's knowledge. Its report would be simple: humans more dangerous than anticipated. Their sharing behaviors create unpredictable alliance networks. Recommend caution in all future interactions. The galactic confusion over a single human lawsuit had just begun. Dr. Han tried to blend into the colorful walls of Classroom 12B at Stellar Heights Elementary. His formal suit made him stand out among the child-friendly decorations, showing the solar systems of 17 different species. As the lead sinoanthropologist for Earth's Scientific Integration Council, he was here to observe, not interfere. Teacher Lee glided over to him on her gravity disk, her 4 arms carefully balancing teaching materials. Though born on Proxima Centauri, she had chosen a mostly human appearance for her teaching assignment on Earth, with just her extra limbs and violet skin revealing her origins. Watch Jin during group activities. Teacher Lee whispered, nodding toward a serious-looking Korean girl arranging her supplies with careful precision. She shows the behavior patterns we discussed. The classroom held 22 students from 12 different species. Some looked nearly human, while others bore little resemblance to Earth life forms. A small crystalline entity absorbed sunlight by the window. 2 methane-breathing youngsters worked inside a special environmental bubble. A child made entirely of sentient liquid metal shaped itself into various forms as it processed information. Dr. Han checked his observation tablet. Jin Park, age 10, daughter of the woman who had filed the infamous lawsuit. This would be interesting. Teacher Lee clapped her upper hands together. Time for galactic science group work. Remember our motto: many minds make light problems. The students rearranged themselves into pre-assigned groups. Each group contained at least 1 human child and representatives from 3 other species. Jin's group included a blue-skinned child from Sirius, a hovering ball of light from Ta Ceti, and a 6-limbed being with compound eyes. Today's challenge, Teacher Lee announced, projecting a hologram into the center of the room, is to solve the quantum entanglement puzzle. Remember, this requires understanding how particles connect across space and time. The hologram showed a complex 3-dimensional grid of particles with connecting lines. The puzzle required rearranging these connections to create stable quantum networks. Even Dr. Han found it challenging, and he had 2 advanced degrees. He watched Jin study the puzzle with intense focus, while her group mates seemed confused. The blue Syrian child especially struggled, its facial tentacles drooping in frustration as it attempted to manipulate the holographic interface. Jin solved her individual puzzle in remarkable time, her fingers moving confidently through the hologram. Dr. Han noticed she then glanced at her group mates, particularly at the struggling Syrian child. Without hesitation, Jin approached the small blue alien. "Here," she said, handing over her completed example. "You can use mine to help you." The Syrian child hesitated, its facial tentacles twitching suspiciously. Dr. Han recognized this reaction. Many alien species still found human generosity confusing or suspicious. The child seemed to be searching for a trap or hidden cost. "I'll show you how," Jin added with a warm smile, pulling her chair closer. "See these particle pairs? They need to match energy states like this." Dr. Han watched as the Syrian's suspicion melted away. Jin's explanation was clear and patient. She didn't simply give answers. She taught the underlying principles, showing the Syrian how to think about quantum relationships. Within minutes, something remarkable happened. The hovering light being from Jin's group drifted over, curious about their progress. Then the 6-limbed student joined them. Soon, a crystalline entity from another group approached, followed by the liquid metal child. Even one of the methane brothers rolled its environmental bubble closer to listen. Jin had gathered 4 alien students around her, all eagerly following her instructions. She assigned tasks based on each species' natural abilities. The light being could directly sense quantum states. The compound-eyed student could visualize multiple dimensions simultaneously. Jin coordinated their efforts, building on each species' strengths. By sharing her solution, she became their leader. Dr. Han scribbled notes frantically on his tablet. This wasn't simple generosity. It wasn't even just teaching. Jin was building an alliance network through targeted knowledge sharing. She identified who needed help, provided it in a way that established her expertise, then leveraged that position to create a multi-species coordination network, all seemingly instinctively. Remarkable, isn't it? Teacher Lee had returned to his side. Jin doesn't just share information. She shares it strategically. Watch how she's having the light being verify the quantum states that the compound-eyed student identifies. She's created a miniature research team. The humans aren't just giving things away, Dr. Han muttered. They're building influence networks that span species boundaries. Precisely, Teacher Lee agreed. Most species either hoard knowledge or share it indiscriminately. Humans seem uniquely adapted to strategic sharing, giving exactly what's needed to build alliances without surrendering all advantages. Across the room, Park, Jin's younger brother, was engaged in a different but equally interesting form of strategic sharing. He was trading Earth snacks with a group of alien students, but Dr. Han noticed he gave different items to different species, watching their reactions carefully and making notes on his tablet. Ta is cataloging taste preferences by species, Teacher Lee explained, following Dr. Han's gaze. He's been building a database for weeks. The alien children think he's just being friendly, but he's systematically mapping xenobiological taste responses. At 8 years old, Dr. Han was astonished. Last week, he traded a chocolate cookie for access to a Betelgeuse virtual reality system that would cost a year's salary to rent, Teacher Lee said with a hint of pride. He's quite the little diplomat. As the class period progressed, Dr. Han observed more examples of human children engaging in strategic sharing behaviors. They rarely gave without purpose. They identified needs, fulfilled them in ways that established relationships, and built networks of obligation and alliance. When the lesson ended, Jin's multi-species group had not only solved the quantum puzzle, but had created an entirely new approach that combined the perceptual abilities of 5 different evolutionary paths. I'll forward their solution to the Galactic Science Academy, Teacher Lee told Dr. Han. It's genuinely innovative. This happens often in classes with human children. They facilitate collaboration that wouldn't occur naturally between these species. Dr. Han completed his notes as the children filed out for their nutrition break. The implications were enormous. Humans weren't just adapting to galactic society. They were reshaping it through innate social behaviors that other species couldn't replicate. Mrs. Park's lawsuit suddenly made perfect sense. She hadn't opposed sharing. She opposed untrained sharing without strategic awareness. If human children could achieve this level of influence instinctively, what might they accomplish with formal training and strategic alliance building? Dr. Han packed his observation equipment with a new sense of urgency. He needed to report these findings immediately. Humanity's place in the galaxy might depend not on technology or military strength, but on their unique ability to share strategically across species boundaries. The classroom emptied except for Teacher Lee, who stared thoughtfully at the completed quantum puzzle still hovering in the center of the room, a testament to what different minds could accomplish together under human coordination. The auditorium at the Interspecies Neuroscience Center hummed with nervous energy. Human parents sat on one side, alien guardians on the other, with school officials forming a neutral zone in the middle. The room had been adapted to accommodate diverse physiological needs. Oxygen levels slightly increased for humans, methane bubbles for the Ta representatives, and a small pool for the amphibious Proximan parent. At the center of it all stood Dr. Kim, Earth's leading xenoneurologist. His ordinary appearance, slightly rumpled lab coat, thinning hair, and tired eyes, belied his extraordinary status as the first human to map comparative brain functions across 17 sentient species. "Thank you all for coming," Dr. Kim began, adjusting his glasses. "Following the recent Educational dispute. The Galactic Science Council requested our team conduct a thorough investigation into human sharing behaviors. Mrs. Park sat in the front row, arms crossed, her lawsuit documents conspicuously placed on her lap. Beside her, Jin and Tai fidgeted in their seats, uncomfortable with the attention their mother had brought upon them. Several rows back, Principal Doe's outer membrane flickered with anxiety patterns. For the past 3 weeks, we've conducted neural mapping studies on volunteers from every species represented at Stellar Heights Elementary, Dr. Kim continued. Our findings are unexpected. He tapped his tablet, and the large screen behind him lit up with a series of brain scans. Each image showed different colored patterns of neural activity. These neural scans are remarkable, Dr. Kim told the assembled parents and officials. When humans share resources, they activate pleasure centers, similar to those triggered by acquisition in other species. He highlighted a region in the human brain scan that glowed bright red. For comparison, here's a proximal brain when receiving a valuable resource. He switched images to show a similar bright pattern in an entirely different neural structure. And here's a human brain when sharing a valuable resource. The patterns were nearly identical. Essentially, humans evolved to find strategic generosity rewarding. It's unique in the galaxy. Form of strategic sharing. He was trading Earth snacks with a group of alien students, but Dr. Han noticed he gave different items to different species, watching their reactions carefully and making notes on his tablet. Tai is cataloging taste preferences by species, Teacher Lee explained, following Dr. Han's gaze. He's been building a database for weeks. The alien children think he's just being friendly, but he's systematically mapping xenobiological taste responses. At 8 years old, Dr. Han was astonished. Last week, he traded a chocolate cookie for access to a Betelgeuse virtual reality system that would cost a year's salary to rent, Teacher Lee said with a hint of pride. He's quite the little diplomat. As the class period progressed, Dr. Han observed more examples of human children engaging in strategic sharing behaviors. They rarely gave without purpose. They identified needs, fulfilled them in ways that established relationships, and built networks of obligation and alliance. When the lesson ended, Jin's multi-species group had not only solved the quantum puzzle, but had created an entirely new approach that combined the perceptual abilities of 5 different evolutionary paths. I'll forward their solution to the Galactic Science Academy, Teacher Lee told Dr. Han. It's genuinely innovative. This happens often in classes with human children. They facilitate collaboration that wouldn't occur naturally between these species. Dr. Han completed his notes as the children filed out for their nutrition break. The implications were enormous. Humans weren't just adapting to galactic society. They were reshaping it through innate social behaviors that other species couldn't replicate. Mrs. Park's lawsuit suddenly made perfect sense. She hadn't opposed sharing. She opposed untrained sharing without strategic awareness. If human children could achieve this level of influence instinctively, what might they accomplish with formal training and strategic alliance building? Dr. Han packed his observation equipment with a new sense of urgency. He needed to report these findings immediately. Humanity's place in the galaxy might depend not on technology or military strength, but on their unique ability to share strategically across species boundaries. The classroom emptied except for Teacher Lee, who stared thoughtfully at the completed quantum puzzle still hovering in the center of the room, a testament to what different minds could accomplish together under human coordination. The auditorium at the Interspecies Neuroscience Center hummed with nervous energy. Human parents sat on one side, alien guardians on the other, with school officials forming a neutral zone in the middle. The room had been adapted to accommodate diverse physiological needs. Oxygen levels slightly increased for humans, methane bubbles for the TA representatives, and a small pool for the amphibious proximal parent. At the center of it all stood Dr. Kim, Earth's leading xenoneurologist. His ordinary appearance, slightly rumpled lab coat, thinning hair, and tired eyes. belied his extraordinary status as the first human to map comparative brain functions across 17 sentient species. "Thank you all for coming," Dr. Kim began, adjusting his glasses. "Following the recent educational dispute, the Galactic Science Council requested our team conduct a thorough investigation into human sharing behaviors." Mrs. Park sat in the front row, arms crossed, her lawsuit documents conspicuously placed on her lap. Beside her, Jin and Tai fidgeted in their seats, uncomfortable with the attention their mother had brought upon them. Several rows back, Principal Doe's outer membrane flickered with anxiety patterns. "For the past 3 weeks, we've conducted neural mapping studies on volunteers from every species represented at Stellar Heights Elementary," Dr. Kim continued. "Our findings are unexpected." He tapped his tablet, and a large screen behind him lit up with a series of brain scans. Each image showed different colored patterns of neural activity. "These neural scans are remarkable," Dr. Kim told the assembled parents and officials. "When humans share resources, they activate pleasure centers, similar to those triggered by acquisition in other species." He highlighted a region in the human brain scan that glowed bright red. "For comparison, here's a Proximan brain when receiving a valuable resource." He switched images to show a similar bright pattern in an entirely different neural structure. "And here's a human brain when sharing a valuable resource." The patterns were nearly identical. Essentially, humans evolved to find strategic generosity rewarding. "It's unique in the galaxy." A murmur ran through the alien side of the room. A crystalline being from Betelgeuse vibrated at a frequency that translated as distress. "To be clear," Dr. Kim added, "humans don't experience pleasure from all forms of sharing. Our studies show the strongest responses occur when the sharing creates social bonds, establishes leadership positions, or creates future opportunities." Mrs. Park leaned forward, her lawsuit temporarily forgotten. "You're saying sharing is actually advantageous?" "More than that," Dr. Kim replied. "It appears to be humanity's secret weapon. Your children instinctively form alliances that other species can't replicate." The alien parents shifted uncomfortably. A Syrian parent's facial tentacles writhed with concern. "Let me demonstrate," Dr. Kim continued, switching to video footage from the classroom observations. "This is Jin Park during last week's quantum physics lesson." The screen showed Jin helping the struggling blue Syrian child, then gradually assembling a multi-species problem-solving team. "What you're witnessing isn't simple altruism," Dr. Kim explained. Jin identifies the Syrian child's struggle, provides targeted assistance that establishes her expertise, then leverages that position to create a coordination network that benefits from diverse evolutionary perspectives. He paused the video. The resulting solution was so innovative that the Galactic Science Academy has requested permission to incorporate it into advanced quantum theory. Mrs. Park's mouth fell open as she stared at her daughter. Jin sank lower in her seat, embarrassed but clearly pleased. "Now, watch what happens in Jin's brain during this interaction." Dr. Kim overlaid a neural scan on the video. As Jin shared her knowledge, her pleasure centers lit up with activity. Her brain is rewarding her not for giving something away, but for the social capital she's building. Dr. Han, who had observed the classroom, stood up. "If I may add, what makes this truly remarkable is that no other known species shares this neural pattern. The collective consciousness shares everything by biological necessity. Proximans share through carefully negotiated contracts. But only humans experience neurological rewards for strategic generosity without guaranteed returns." One of the alien parents, a tall, thin being with iridescent skin, raised an appendage. "Are you suggesting humans have been manipulating our children through these sharing behaviors?" "Not manipulation," Dr. Kim clarified. "Alliance building. Humans evolved in an environment where cooperation was essential for survival, but resources were limited. The result was a species hardwired to build networks through strategic generosity." He switched to another classroom video, showing Tai sharing Earth candies with alien classmates. Ta isn't just being friendly here. He's systematically cataloging taste preferences by species while establishing himself as a desirable ally. Dr. Kim highlighted Ta's tablet where he was making detailed notes. At 8 years old, he's already building a comprehensive cross-species preference database. Ta beamed with pride while his mother looked at him with newfound appreciation. Last week, Dr. Kim continued, Ta traded a chocolate cookie, worth perhaps $2 Earth, for access to a Bithiljusian virtual reality system that would cost thousands to rent. Was this exploitation? No. Both parties felt satisfied with the exchange. A Betelgeusian parent flashed colors of embarrassment. My offspring reported feeling happy about this inequitable exchange. I could not understand why. Dr. Kim nodded. Because your child valued the social connection and novel experience more than temporary VR access. Humans intuitively understand such non-material values. Mrs. Park stood up suddenly. So my lawsuit was correct, but for the wrong reasons. We shouldn't stop teaching sharing. We should formalize teaching strategic alliance formation through resource distribution. Principal Doe's membrane rippled with confusion. Isn't that just sharing with more complicated words? No, Dr. Kim interjected. It's sharing with conscious awareness of its evolutionary purpose. Until now, human children have been doing this instinctively. Imagine what they might accomplish with formal training. The room fell silent as both human and alien attendees contemplated the implications. There's one more finding I must share, Dr. Kim said, his tone more serious. Our research suggests this trait may explain humanity's unexpectedly rapid rise in galactic society. In just 20 years, humans have established alliance networks that took other species centuries to build. He displayed a complex web of interspecies connections, with Earth showing disproportionately numerous linkages. If strategic sharing is formalized as an educational priority, Dr. Kim concluded, humanity's influence will likely accelerate even further. The alien parents exchanged troubled glances. A Proximan representative's skin darkened with concern. Mrs. Park stood again. I wish to formally withdraw my lawsuit and instead propose a new educational initiative. My children shouldn't be taught simply to share. They should be taught to share with purpose, with strategy, with awareness of this evolutionary advantage. As the meeting dissolved into excited discussion, Jin leaned over to Tai and whispered, Mom's not mad about your hover scooter anymore. Ta grinned. Good, because I traded it for something even better. Kalo's family has a spaceship. The siblings watched as their mother energetically discussed implementation plans with school officials, her lawsuit completely forgotten in light of humanity's newly discovered superpower. The strategic generosity that was reshaping the galaxy one shared resource at a time. The Global Education Courthouse gleamed in the morning sunlight, its crystalline dome designed to accommodate representatives from all 17 major galactic species. Judge Moon presided from a circular platform that hovered above the center of the chamber. Her traditional Earth judge's robes had been modified with subtle elements representing legal traditions from across the stars. Mrs. Park stood confidently at the plaintiff's podium. Gone was the angry mother who had filed the original lawsuit. In her place stood a woman who understood her species' unique power in the galaxy. Jin and Ta flanked her, dressed in formal education uniforms that marked them as representatives of humanity's youngest generation. The courthouse was packed. News of the human sharing controversy had spread to the furthest reaches of galactic civilization. Representatives from the Galactic Education Council occupied the front row. Behind them sat scientists, diplomats, and curious citizens of a dozen worlds. The court recognizes Mrs. Park, Judge Moon announced, her voice carrying through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Mrs. Park straightened her shoulders. Your Honor, in light of recent scientific discoveries regarding human neurological responses to sharing behaviors, I wish to amend my lawsuit. Rather than prohibiting sharing education as originally requested, I demand the school implement strategic alliance formation through resource distribution, taught as an advanced human skill. A murmur rippled through the alien observers. Principal Doe, seated at the defense table, looked stunned. His outer membrane flickered with rapid patterns of confusion and surprise. "Could you clarify your amended request?" Judge Moon asked, leaning forward. "Certainly," Mrs. Park replied. "The research conducted by Dr. Kim and Dr. Han demonstrates that humans possess a unique evolutionary adaptation. We experience neurological rewards when we share strategically, forming alliances and networks across species boundaries. This is not simply altruism. It is a sophisticated diplomatic technique that has accelerated humanity's integration into galactic society." She gestured to her children. "My son and daughter have demonstrated this ability instinctively." Jin created a multi-species research team through targeted knowledge sharing. Ta established resource exchange networks that benefited both himself and his alien classmates. Mrs. Park turned to face the gallery. "I no longer wish to stop my children from sharing. I wish for them, and all human children, to understand the evolutionary power of what they're doing, to share not blindly, but with strategic awareness." Principal Doe rose slowly, his human-style suit slightly askew. "Your Honor, while the school appreciates Mrs. Park's evolution on this matter, implementing an entirely new curriculum would require significant resources and—" "Resources are already allocated," interrupted a tall, elegant woman who stood from the gallery. Ambassador Song, Earth's chief diplomat, approached the central floor. "The Earth Diplomatic Corps has committed full funding to develop this curriculum. We consider it essential to humanity's continued advancement in galactic affairs." Judge Moon tapped her gavel thoughtfully. "This court has reviewed the scientific evidence presented by Dr. Kim and Dr. Han. The neural patterns are indeed remarkable. The court also notes the recommendations from the Galactic Science Council and Earth's Diplomatic Corps." She looked directly at Jin and Ta. "Would the Park children be willing to share their experiences with the court?"